my computer decided that it was going to be very, very slow this morning. So I'm Utpala, and welcome to class 6 of course 8 on the foundations of, death and the realm of existence. I'll try not to be discombobulated because of working with my computer. So before we get started, let's settle our minds and prepare our minds for class. Bring yourself into the room where you are. Leave all outside. Leave it outside. Feel yourself on your seat, being supported by the earth. Now bring to mind your motivation for being here today. Dashi Puki Jukshin Meto Dram Vira Blingshin Yinde Kempadi Sangye Shindu Bikte Uwargi Drokun Namdak Singla Chuparso Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniyatayam. Sangye Churan Suki Chuknam La Jangchu Pardu Takni Kyapsu Chi Daki Chushe Gipe Sunam Ki Jola Pinshir Sangye Drupasho Sangye Churan Soki Chuknam La Jangchu Pardu Dakni Kyapsu Chi Daki Chushe Gipe Sunam Ki Jola Pinchir Sangye Truparsho Sangye Churam Soki Chuknam La Changchu Partu Dakni Kyapsu Chi Daki Chishi Gipe Sunam Ki Jola Pinchir Sangye Truparsho. Okay. Are there any questions that anyone has from last time before we continue on? No questions? Oops. Boy, my computer's really giving me a run for my happiness this morning. Okay. So let's begin then. Okay. Okay, where did you go? I know I opened you. It's still giving me a run. There you are. I see you. Now let me show you. Okay. So today's class, we're going to be talking about uh, types of sustenance, things that um, sustain our life, and then we're going to have a general description of our world. We're going to talk more about it in a later class as well, but we're going to get started on that today. I learned how to make a big pointer. Yay. See, old dogs can learn new tricks. Okay, so we are still within Gelway Gendron Droop's commentary on Master Vasubandhu's Abhidharma Kosha. And this is a line from the third chapter of the Abhidharma Kosha. We're in the third chapter all day today. So, Joa Tseki Nepa Yin. Joa Se Ki Nepa Yin. Joa, we've had this before. I don't know if anyone remembers. Let me get my chat. Joa literally means to go. To go. So ones who go. People. Living creatures. Say, I think we've also had this one. Say, It means, yes, very good. Thank you, Mambu. It means food, or here in this case, it means sustenance, which may sound like just a word for food that has more syllables, but sustenance is a more general term for things that can sustain your life, where food is very specific kind of thing that can sustain your life. So we'll learn more about that. Seki, this instrumental, this means by, and nebayin means stay or live. So what this is saying is that living beings continue to live because due to sustenance. Sustenance is what keeps people alive. There are 4 different kinds of sustenance. I went too far down. The first one is called kamkise. Kamkise. Kam, there are different spellings. This one, this spelling, we see more frequently in the texts, and it refers, it can mean region or area. There's actually a region of Tibet called Kham. It also can mean element, Sanskrit dhatu, like in, and then there's like with Chukikam, which is Dharma dhatu, which are in, it's also an Abhidharma term, the 18 divisions of existence. So if you go to the mixed nuts in Stanley Chen's book, we've talked about calm or dhatu. But our calm is more straightforwardly meaning a portion. A portion. So kamse, kamkise means taking in sustenance by portions. So like when we humans eat, we take a bite out of something, right? Well, sometimes you can throw a whole grape in your mouth or something, but still you have to chew it down into smaller pieces. And it's the same with taking a drink. You're taking a bit, a portion. Yes, live translators, please join me in taking portions of nice refreshing water or something. Okay. There are 2 types of food that we take in portions, subtle and gross. And we've talked about an example of subtle sustenance, not specifically, just more in passing, but it was related to bardoas or intermediate beings. Does anyone remember what intermediate beings, there was another name for them? Smell eaters. Right. Great. Thank you, Lonbooth. Smell eaters. So they live off smell, and the smells are broken down into bits. Bit of a smell. You sniff. And then another example of subtle food is jutsi. Jutsi. The Sanskrit for this is amarta. Amarta, which you may have heard of before. Normally, amarta and jutsi, for that matter, refer to nectar, ambrosia, there's a nectar called deathless nectar. For those of you entering into the Diamond Way, you'll become familiar with that. But this is not how the word is used when we're talking about types of sustenance or the subtle type of food that's taken in portions. There is a story about the first humans who arrive on a planet as the planet is coming into being. The first humans arrive, and they're called the humans of the first eon. And we're going to learn more about them later, but their bodies are made of light, so their physical bodies are very subtle. They say there's no sun or moon yet, and so these humans of the first eon, they make their way around the world by their giving off light. But when they have to eat something, when they get hungry, they just lean down and take a scoop of earth and put it in their mouth, and it just like absorbs. It is absorbed by their body. There's no chewing. There's no like digestion. There's no, it doesn't have to go through a stomach and through intestines and out as poop and pee. They take this little scoop and it is absorbed by their body. And they live off of that. So that's called subtle because it doesn't produce any excrement as the body uses it. And then gross foods are everything else that we're very familiar with. Everything that we eat, everything that we see, animals eating. Hell beings also eat, but they eat like red hot iron balls, quite unpleasant. And we've learned that, the craving spirits, they're not eating anything pleasant either if they can get it down, right? So those are all gross. They say that kankitse is a combination of three things: taste, smell, and I don't know, I guess you could say tangibility, uh, it touch, taste, smell, and touch. Those three things come together. Um, I don't know if you've ever eaten when your nose is all, like if you have a really bad cold and you eat something and your nose is all stuffed up. You don't smell the food. It's an entirely different experience, right? It I find my taste buds are very much tied in with my sense of smell. Things taste much better when I can also smell them, or much worse for that matter. Now, kamkitse, or uh, sustenance in the form of solid food, kamkitse exists only, uh, excuse me, only exists uh, in the desire realm. So only those five types of beings that we've talked about before, uh, who live in the desire realm, use sustenance in the form of uh, food that is broken by portion. So in the form realm and the formless realm, they don't have this kind of sustenance. And we think about it, to be reborn in the form realm or formless realm, we have gone beyond desire for things like that, sensory desires. So they don't eat this kind of food. They eat. They have other kinds of sustenance. It's not that they're starving. So the next three, how many did I say we have? We have three, four kinds. Sorry. So the next three are types of sustenance that beings in all realms make use of. This one is called rekbetse. Rekbetse. Rekba means contact. So in this case, it means the convening of those three things. And the three things are the object of sustenance. Let's use, just to make it simple for us, let's use a glass of, let's use water. So this water, it contact means that the water it reaches or touches the sense organ. So in this case, it was tactile sensation and also taste. Those two sense powers. And then we have the awareness of the water. So it's awareness, it's the object, and it's the sense power that takes in the object. All those three come together. Now, how this can work is that when we even, like, let's say that we are very thirsty, and let's say we've been out hiking in the mountains, and we ran out of water. Our water bottle is empty, and we're very thirsty, and we're feeling very, like, faint, losing energy. And we see up ahead, there's another hiker, and they're coming down the mountain. And we see them take their water bottle and take a drink. And just our being aware of that person's water bottle, and our sense powers, there's like a certain energy that arises. It gives some sort of sustenance. Like, we were just a moment before feeling like there was no hope. If we didn't get water soon, we might be faint and, pass out. And then who knows, some wild animal may come and take us away. But we see this other person coming, and they have water. And then, especially when we ask them, oh, may I please have a sip of water? Then the hope becomes even more powerful, and we can take these steps towards the person when they kindly offer us a drink from their water bottle. And in that case, it's the mind, right, that's sustaining us in that kind of situation. And you could probably notice things in your own, from your own experience, when the thought of something, or the thought of being able to access something when you're really hungry or really thirsty, that gives you a kind of energy. And the opposite happens too. Like, for example, older married couples, like in their 80s and 90s, when the first one passes, the first of the partner, the next one, the other one, very often passes soon afterwards. Like, I was caring for a friend's elderly uncle, and I think it was a combination of both of them, actually. He got to a point where his ability to move around and eat drastically reduced. He'd been sickly for a number of years. And his wife also had another illness where she was in a nursing home. I was caring for him in his home, but she would come and visit every week. And one time she came, and Harvey it was a particularly bad day for him. He wasn't hungry at all. He was pretty much in bed the whole day. And, her caregiver took her back to the nursing home, and she died the next week. She had been healthy, but she saw the state that Harvey was in, and I think realized he wasn't going to be here for much longer. And she didn't want to have to go through that herself to lose him. So she went first. And then Harvey went very soon thereafter. The next kind of sustenance, sempe se. Sempe se. Sem means mind. Sempa is movement of the mind. If you took the course on karma, you may recognize this phrase, Deni Tsempa Dang De Che, which means karma is movement of the mind and what it brings. Movement of the mind. So anytime the mind shifts from object to object, even every moving from object to object. So sempa is the essence of karma. And we talked about before that there were 64 moments of mind in a finger snap, right? And those moments of mind, that's a sempa. So there's general consciousness, and then there's the movement of the mind. So how is movement of the mind a type of sustenance? They call sempa a type of sustenance because it does sustain your next life. Remember, we talked about how in the intermediate stage in the bardo, the appearance that a bardo being has matches the type of being that they're about to take rebirth as. And that there's this one karma ripening that pushes, propels into the existence through the bardo, and then being reborn. So this sempa is sustaining life. And then the last one, the fourth one, is called Namshe Kitse. Namshe Kitse. And Namshe is, consciousness. So this is sustenance in the form of consciousness. The general state of awareness that we have, it never stops. It has existed from time with no beginning and can never end. this, you know, this bag of skin and bones that our consciousness is associated with right now, that goes away. And the type of thoughts that we have will change between being this kind of being and the next kind of being, like, say, for example, an animal. The experiences we have, we've talked about different types of experiences that craving spirits and animals and humans have. So even our experience changes, but the awareness, the general awakeness, continues on. That's really the only thing that continues on in a stream. It's not a string, it's a stream of moments. So these last three kinds of sustenance can be enjoyed by beings in all three of the realms. Now, in a related topic, but from a different part of the Abhidharmakosha, the second chapter, there's the idea of Gepe Gyushi. Gepe Gyushi. And it's also related to food. Gepa means to flourish. Flourish. Gyu is cause, and Shi is for. So there are four kinds of things that cause cause you to flourish or to thrive. So these four things also nourish your body, and they make a distinction then between nourishing your body and sustaining your body. With the first four we had, they're related to sustaining your life, keeping your life going. These four that we're about to talk about, they nourish the body that you have. So they're more related to nourishing those sense faculties that you have. The faculty of your eye, of your nose, of your ears, of your tongue, of your hands, your skin. So those cells that give power, those cells that make it possible for you to experience the world. You know, if we didn't have them, it would be as if we were, you know, not able to see or hear or not able to do any of those things. It would be like being in a black box. We wouldn't be experiencing anything. So these four things nourish those sense powers. And in particular, what they're nourishing about the sense powers are the four elements. Sa, Chu, Me, Lung. Sa is earth, Chu is water, Me is fire, and Lu is wind. These are the four basic elements. And in Abhidharmakosha, they talk about how those four elements exist in everything. They are like compositional elements. Even like the glass that holds the water to my touch, my kind of being, when I hold this, it seems like this can't have, this doesn't have fire in it. This doesn't have wind in it. Earth, sure, I can see that. It's made from glass, which is made from silicon, which came from the earth. But it doesn't have those other three. Certainly not wind. Good grief, it's something I can hold. But it's not really talking about those things. Those names are illustrative of the element. So it's more about the element of solidity. The earth element is like how solid something is. The element of water is fluidity, how fluid something is. The element of fire is related to temperature. And the element of wind is related to movement. So the four things we're going to talk about are nourishing these elements that are everywhere within our body and especially in our sense faculties, our windows to the world. Okay, the first one is easy. Kase. It means food. Ka is the word for mouth, and se is sustenance. So mouth sustenance is food. So the first of the four causes that make our physical faculties and the elements that they're made of to flourish. The next one, the second one, is called lecture. Lecture. Generally, when we talk about lecture in Buddhist teachings, we're talking about doing good things. Like in the Heart Sutra, when after Avalokiteshvara speaks with Shariputra, and then the Buddha arises from his meditation and says, good, good, and good, I say again, like so. It has a different meaning here. But the jaw part is to do. So to do good. There are different examples in scripture about the kind of doing good that sustains or I'm sorry, flourishes the sense powers. And the first one is called kunye. Kunye. And this is a kind of massage, a type of massage that was done in ancient India. So lecture doesn't mean, good deeds. It could be a good deed if you're giving someone a massage, but it's not necessarily so, right? But this is a way to, you know, like after you do some strenuous physical activity and your muscles ache, um, you can, if you get a massage, that can help soothe uh, those sensations and help your body heal from your activity. Another example is a warm bath or a medicinal bath. Um, and there's, I think, a long tradition for humans all over the world where um, going to hot springs, places on the earth where the waters is coming out from deep in the earth, and it's warm. There's long tradition in our species of going to those kinds of pools and sitting in those pools for the purposes of helping our body. Also mineral baths. Those are a very, very popular thing for us to do. Another kind of thing that nourishes the body is rubbing ointments on the body. Like if your skin is very dry, like where I live, it's the desert and we have very low humidity. And I when I used to live in a place where it was very humid, I didn't have this problem, but now I've got very, very dry skin and I have to use ointments on my body to keep it from cracking. So those are examples from the scriptures about this type of doing good. So they're doing good for the body. The third kind is ni. Ni. And this means sleep. Sleep nourishes our body, especially our brain. Our brain really needs to sleep in order for it to function well. And then the fourth one is Tinginzin. Tinginzin. And those of you who took the course on meditation, you may remember that this stands for concentration. So concentration is also a kind of sustenance. So meditating, having a daily meditation practice is you're doing something that can help flourish your body and mind. It can make you healthier. And the definition of Tingenzin is sensei chikpa. Sensei chikpa, which is, it just means single pointed mind, single pointed awareness. And allowing our minds to be engaged with one object instead of flitting around to many different objects, but really focusing the mind. That can really help with like being scattered, having attention scattered, or like having too many jobs to do, having your to-do list be too long. That could cause anxiety and worry, which can mean, you don't eat, you don't sleep properly, and it just builds, and it's like a downward spiral. So if we have a meditation practice where we are concentrating our mind, we're learning how to focus our mind on one object, that ability will serve us well throughout the day. It's not, I mean, the main thing, of course, is to be able to focus our mind so that we can see emptiness directly. But a side effect of the practice of meditation is that it is good for our body and mind the rest of the day, health-wise. So these are the 4, and we need all 4 of them, some form of them. Just as a little hint, when your homework asks you for the 4 things that nourish the body, it's the first 4 we talked about. That's what it's looking for. This second group of 4, this does not have an associated homework question, but it is interesting to know because we want this body to flourish, not for the sake of having a beautiful body, but for the sake of keeping everything running smoothly so that we can practice the Buddhist teaching, see emptiness directly, and get the heck out of this kind of suffering existence. It's not that having the suffering existence is a good thing. It's not a pleasant thing. It's suffering. Putting ointment on the skin relieves a little bit of suffering, but it's not going to cure my being stuck in the cycle of suffering, Same with food. None of these things are going to, by themselves, be a cause for me to become enlightened. They will be an aid if they are, helping keep the mind bright and aware by getting enough sleep. Relieving pain in the body by massaging it so that we can then focus our minds in meditation. Doing yoga helps with that too. And yoga is not to have a nice thin body, but so that we can meditate and have a stable platform for our mind to meditate. So we shouldn't get like hung up on these things themselves. They're not the ultimate goal. We should eat well. We should live in a healthy way. we should take care of ourselves. But that's not the goal. This body is going to die anyway. So the goal is to just to keep it healthy for our practice. And now we're totally switching gears. And we're going to talk about the world. And we're going to talk a bit about, how it came into being, or the process of it coming into being, and what kind of things exist in this world. Okay. The word for world is chikten. Chikten. Oh, wait, before I go on, I should have said this explicitly, but there's all those types of sustenance. When I said that beings in all three realms, use them, with the exception of the first one, is only used by humans. They're all associated with suffering. They're all associated with sakche, having it it's impure. They're impure. They're all stained. So, for example, if a homework question were to ask you to name the four, you might want to take a particular note of that they're stained. Okay. Jikten, the world. Now, this is interesting. This jik, this means perishable, destructible. And ten means a foundation, a basis. So the word for world in both Tibetan and Sanskrit, loka, emphasizes that it is going to die. It's perishable. So we'll talk now about how the world starts, and then there's so many very interesting details in the Abhidharmakosha about this, and we're going to talk more about the ending of a world in a future class. But at the beginning of this world, for example, there is a lungi kilnkor. Lung, we just had. Lung, wind. And kilnkor, this means disc. And I forgot to put the Sanskrit, but it's the Sanskrit is mandala. So when we make a mandala offering, what we're doing is we're offering the world. So according to Abhidharmakosha, before this planet was here, there was nothing here. It was just empty space. And the kind of empty space that means there's nothing there, not emptiness, as in lack of self-existence, but empty space, the absence of obstruction. Uh, and uh, then there was this energy called lung or wind, and it started to uh, cycle or circle this disk of wind. And over many, 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 many years, this cycle started speeding up and moving faster and faster and faster. And as it sped up, it started to congeal into a mass, into having a sort of quality of being hard. And they say it was as hard, it is as hard as a diamond, that it couldn't be broken. So that's the basis of our world, is this big disk of wind. The wind is, it has dimensions, and we'll talk about that. uh Pakse, this is a Tibetan word, one of the Tibetan words for distance, a type, a measurement of distance, Pakse. And the Sanskrit word is yojana. And this text doesn't, but the Abhidharma goes into measuring distances of all sizes, lengths, widths, heights, of all different sizes. There are domes and trues and soars and shudoms, and a lot of them are talking about like the length, the distance between the tip of your finger and your hand, the palm of your hand, or the tip of your third finger and your shoulder, or your arm span when your arms are outstretched. So the distances, unlike in my language, are related to like the size of a body, of a human body. It's not some abstract concept like a mile. I don't know what a mile is. But you can say it's so many, so many arm spans. And so you can guess then that the numbers get quite high. If we're relating the size of the world to the size of us, we're going to have big, big numbers. So there's a disk of, let me get this drawing here. Let me stop sharing this and start sharing. So this is a drawing from the notes. It's more the shapes. So don't be concerned that you can't read the words. It's more the shapes that we care about. So this here is the disk of wind. So it has a much bigger circumference than it has depth. It's only 7 million miles deep, and it is 4.5 to the 10th power million miles diameter. It's huge. And these numbers all come from, Geshe Michael having figured out, okay, what's the size of from the fingertip to the palm? Okay, so we have this huge wind disk. It's circling around. It's become as hard as a diamond. And then there comes a disk of water on top of that, a smaller disk. It's only it's only about 5 million miles deep. So it's not quite as deep as the wind disk. And a great wind stirs up the water. And then from that comes a disk of gold. And this disk of gold, this one thing separates into a disk of water that has a disk of gold. And you can see the measurements in the reading. I don't have to go through them all. So after whatever cosmic event this was that turned the bottom third of a disk of water into a disk of gold. And then start to come mountains. So in this lower part of the picture, this central figure here is Mount Meru, which is the large mountain of the earth. This is in Buddhist cosmology. Let me, there's another picture. I have 3 pictures, not each one of them is incorrect in a way, has something incorrect about it, which is too bad. Uh-oh. Did I don't know. Oh, there it is. Okay. So in this one, which we've seen before, Mount Meru is actually right here. These blue, this blue area here in the middle. And Mount Meru has 4 tiers. And each tier, the top is wider than the base. So that's why it has this shape. And there are 4 tiers. And then surrounding Mount Meru, which on the other one was concentric circles. So maybe that one was easier. I'm sorry to go back and forth like this, but I don't know how else to do it. So I don't want to share my whole screen. So these concentric circles around Mount Meru, each of these is a ring of mountains. And they're caused by the different elements within the discs of water and gold that are like formed together to form these mountains. And in each of the mountain ranges is different, made of different elements. And the reading will go into the sizes. This one shows only 6. There are 7 mountain ranges immediately around Mount Meru, the central mountain. And then out here at the edge of the disk of wind, the base of the world, is another mountain range. And the inner mountain range around Mount Meru, those are made of gold. And the one around the edge is made of iron. So there's 9 mountain ranges altogether. Mount Meru, the 7 mountain ranges that surround it, and then the outer mountain range at the edge of the wind disk. Now you can sort of tell in this other one, you have to use your imagination though, a little bit. So this is Mount Meru here in this depiction. So you can see its shape is getting wider and wider. So this is a more accurate representation of what the scripture or what Master Vasubandhu says, which is based on what the Buddha said. But you can see there's like a different color. This is representing the back. This is representing one side. This is representing another side. And this is representing another direction, the one that we're looking at. So the eastern side is silver. So here in this presentation, it's to the right. This is silver, which is actually referring to the metal silver. And to the south, the one facing us, this is made of lapis, the gemstone lapis, which is blue in color. The west side is ruby, the gem ruby, which is red. And the north side, which we can only see a tiny bit of here, is gold, made of gold. So we're going to talk about these, but these little boxes here, or little shapes here, these are all continents. And we live on this particular continent. So the beings who live on these continents, the color of their sky matches the color of the side of Mount Meru that faces them. So we're here on the south side of Mount Meru. So our sky is blue. Beings who are on the east side, their sky is silver, and so on. Gold to the north and red to the west. Mount Meru is 720,000 miles high. Half of it is above the disk of water, and half of it is below. So if these are the mountain ranges, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. This has the right number of ranges, although it's not a square. It should be circular, I think. At least most of the mandalas I've seen show this as circular, these ranges. But if you can see in between these ranges, there's an ocean. Each one has an ocean between it and the next one. So these oceans that are within the circle of 7 mountain ranges around Mount Meru, they're called the seas of sport. Seas of sport, like sport, like having a good time. The first sea of sport, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the first sea of sport would be this one, and it's called the inner sea. The inner sea. And then there are names for each of these seas. Which you can see in your reading. And then there is around those 7 mountain ranges, before you get to the edge of the wind disk, there is a great, humongous ocean. It's called the Great Outer Ocean. So there are 4 continents, 4 main continents that surround Mount Meru and the 7 mountain ranges. And they have different shapes from each other. This one here, our continent, is called Zambuling. Ling means an island. And this is funny. Zambu is the sound that the fruit of a jambu tree makes when it hits the water. Like it could have been ploop. But apparently it sounds like Sambu, when this fruit hits the water. So it must be big fruit. Zambu. Okay, so that's Zambu down here. And it has, they say it's shaped like an oxen cart. But apparently that's the shape of these kind of wagons pulled by oxen used to be in the old days. Then over here to the east, that is Lupakpo, the one who has the silver sky, and it's shaped like a half moon, half of a circle. It's called Great Body. Great Body. Then there's this is called oh, I didn't write that one down here. Let's see. This one is called Draminyen, the square one to the north, Draminyen, and it means terrible sound or sound of terror. And then the continent to the west, the one that has the red sky, is called Balangchu, Balangchu, which means cattle, cattle. Now, each of these main continents has two subcontinents that are of the same shape, and they have also interesting names. Around Sambuling, we have this is Yoden and Lamchakdro, moving in the high path in English. Here is body and great body that are around great body. To the north, Draminyen and Draminyen Kita, sound of terror and its mate. And then here we have, this is Balangchu, right, in the middle. And around it, we have Ngayap and Ngayap Shen. So oxtail and the second. So if you've ever made a mandala offering, it's this physical practice that you do that is associated with recitation of the mandala offering. The mandala offering we do before class or before and after class is a brief mandala offering. There are a short mandala offering which goes through things in general, and then there's a very extensive mandala offering that takes a little while longer to do. But if you are doing a practice of doing several, making several of these offerings, That is a certain practice that some people do, where they do 100,000 of the long mandala offerings, and they've got a plate, and they have rice with gemstones, and they go through building the world. So with the disc and putting little piles of rice for the continents and building on up through. We're not going through all of that. But the physical part is just to help keep the mind focused. Mainly what people are doing when they make a mandala offering is they are offering the universe to their teacher. Why would you want to do that? I mean, why not, why not give them money for a class? We don't have enough money. This whole planet, on this whole planet, there doesn't exist enough money to match the value of these teachings. With these teachings, we can get out of the circle of suffering. With these teachings, we can reach a state of being where we can help countless living beings also escape from the cycle of suffering. So we couldn't put a price on that. And that's why traditionally, and ACI does this as well, which is fantastic, no money is charged for Dharma teaching. Not because it's cheap, right? But because it's priceless. Because no one could afford it. If we put a dollar amount that matched its value. And even if each one of us gave everything we had for a teaching, we still have to, live our lives and put these teachings into practice. We can't give away everything. The truth of the matter is we're here. We're in this kind of existence. We're learning through these teachings about the path to get out of this type of existence. And the path takes time. So we can't just, we can't go to Geshe Michael, for example, and drain our bank account, sell our house, sell our car, give him all the money we raise, and expect him to like bop us on the head, and then we can become enlightened. That's not how it works. So instead, I mean, I don't know about you, but I think it's good to financially support these teachings in a way that is comfortable for you, because not because the project needs money. This is not how Asian Classics Institute makes money, by people giving them money. If you studied karma, you realize that. Having wealth comes from having been generous in the past. So if we want to continue the teachings, then we give of ourselves, whether that's money or our time and energy, like the live translators who I bow down to at every opportunity. Take a water break. To all the people who work in putting these classes together, the tech people, all the people who manage the chats, the people who do the advertising, to there's so many ways that we can support the teachings. And if we support the teachings, we're creating incredible karma. But it also does support them in a deceptive kind of way, right? It appears to us that when we give of our money or our time or our effort, that actually it's received and used and has the appearance of allowing the teachings to continue. And because that's the way it appears to us, it's not real, right? That's not what's really going on. But because it appears that way to us, that's how we must act. Sorry, I didn't really want to get that far off into karma land, but uh, when we're imagining this world, this extremely large and complicated world, to our teacher, it's an acknowledgement that even that is not enough. Offering the whole world is not enough. Doesn't match the value of what we're given. The best offering we can make to our teacher, and if we think about it, the best offering we can make to anyone, everyone, is our practice of the teaching, is our thinking about what these teachings are saying and thinking about how to apply them in our lives. That's the highest offering. Now, why did Master Vasubandhu talk about the world in this way? It doesn't appear that way to us now, right? It doesn't appear that the earth is a flat disk. We think it's spherical, that it's a globe, and that it's circling sun. And we don't have a big mountain in the center of, of our world. So there are many things about this presentation that we say, oh, that's, how quaint. That's how the ancient people saw the world before they knew that the earth was round. Mount Everest seemed so high, it seemed so big that it must be the center of the world. So when people describe what, they explain why it is that Master Vasubandhu gets into this description. He's trying to tell us something. He's not just some crazy person. There's so much about what he describes in the Abhidharmakosha that's like spot on. And Geshe Michael talked about how he talks about what happens in the 15 seconds after the direct perception of emptiness. Master Vasubandhu describes it, and Geshe Michael says, it sounds to me like, sure sounds like he had experience of that. What he's trying to do is tell us something about how we see the world. Why do we see the world the way we do? He's showing us that it's our projection. If we had a different projection, the entire world would be different. The color of the sky would be different. It's not that there's a world that we each experience differently, all looking at the same thing, but like from a different vantage point or with different kinds of eyeballs. It's not that. It's that our seeds planted from what we did in the past and how we behaved with other people, those seeds are ripening and forcing us to see what we see. So there's not an earth out there that either is a sphere or is a disc, depending on who you are. We may talk about it that way, and especially from the Abhidharma philosophical school's point of view. But from the consequence branch of the middle way, from that point of view, it's all a projection. It's not, is the earth a disc or is the earth a sphere? It's who's looking? What are their seeds? Forcing them to see. if we practice well, if we keep our vows well, if we enter the diamond way and do those practices and keep those vows well, if we do retreat, our perceptions will be different than the ones we have now. If you are who you seem to be, if you're like me. So that's why we have a class about the world. Reminders or teachings about what kind of mental images we could be creating for ourselves through our activity. So let's take a moment and dedicate that, our having been in this class and listened, and those of you who are serving in this class and focusing those seeds that we've just created towards us having the perception of a perfect world with no suffering. And let's start by offering the world. Sashi Buki Chukshin Meto Tra Vira Blingshi Ninde Gempadi Sange Shindu Mikte Omarki Trokun Namdak Shingla Chuparsho Idam Guru Ratnamandala Kamnirya Tayami Kewadi Kewoku Sunam Yeshe Tsoksok Shin Sunam Yeshe Lejunwe Dampar Kuni Topar Sho. Thank you. I'm sorry I am out of time. And have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you next Wednesday. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for your practice. Thanks for your service. See you next week.